This episode, and every episode of the Beer Guys radio show, is brought to you by Ironmonger Brewing. Visit Ironmonger at their taproom in Marietta, Georgia, or online at ironmongerbrewing.com.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys radio show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
And welcome to the Beer Guys radio show. We're broadcasting from the Beer Guys radio studios in Marietta, Georgia. And this week we're talking with three Taverns Craft Beers. I'm Tim Dennis, and with me as always is my good friend and co-host, Brian Hewitt.
Hey, Tim. Joining us today, we have Brian Purcell, the founder of Three Taverns Craft Brewery, and the new Three Taverns brewmaster, Riley Finnigan. We're going to talk about the Rowdy and Proud lifestyle, the new Imaginarium facility, and Tim might probably complain about how some people pour their beer. Brian, Riley, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys. I will complain about that, Brian.
I figured you might.
We'll get to that later.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see you seething already.
It's something I just discovered. You know what? Let's get this out of the way.
Okay.
Let's get this out of the way, Brian. So I just discovered it recently, but I guess it's been a thing for 2 or 3 years, and I'm just late to the game. They call it the boss pour. You guys familiar with boss pour in a beer?
Never
Or
heard.
the Iceman pour?
The Iceman
Never
pour.
heard of it in my
It's the
life.
pour I make every day, Tim.
See, the boss, like a boss, right?
He is the boss man. That is
Yeah.
his pour by default.
So it's a new, not new, it's a thing on social media. Your beer pictures, you fill the glass to literally almost overflow in the top. No foam at all straight beer. And they call this the boss pour or the Iceman pour. And I was told on Twitter that it's the way of the future, and I'm an old man.
It's actually
And-
the way of the past because they've been doing it for years.
Well, I'm opposed to it, no matter how long they've been doing it. It doesn't look right. Your beer needs head on there. And I think even a beer picture looks better when you got a nice head, foam cap on there, Brian.
I agree. I think it should be there, but I think that with a lot of these, it's the beer's color is so striking. It's a lot of the fruit puree type of beers. I don't think there's a lot of head on them to begin with.
Well,
Your Berliner.
I still don't approve of it.
Yeah,
And I've started, my campaign will continue. I'm going to launch a GoFundMe to fund this, and the hashtag is ban the boss pour.
Ban the boss
So join with me on social media to ban the boss pour. Yeah, Brian. So other than my rage over the way people pour their beer, good week.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
week. We did a little Athens road trip
We
last
did.
weekend. We had actually brewed with our friends from Reddit ATL Beer. We did a collaboration at Southern Brewing Company, open fermented in an oak barrel, and then transferred to a wine barrel with some peaches and apricots. And so we did the release on that this weekend. Went over, had a little crew there. They opened up. Thank you to Southern Brewing Company. Very nice
Yeah.
you guys do that. So we got to drink that beer on site and then get a bottle of it to go. Tastefully Edgy
And it was tasteful
is the name of the beer.
and edgy.
It wasn't really that edgy.
No,
it
not
was pretty
really. It was-
smooth going, wasn't it?
It's exactly what you'd want it to be. Yeah, it was a good beer. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good time. Did Creature Comforts while we were over in Athens.
Sure.
Drank some of theirs. Athens to Athens, Grist to Grist,
Oh yeah.
which is a collaboration they did with Jackie O's, was really nice. I think that was a mixed fermentation wine barrel Saison, if I
Okay.
remember the style correctly.
Sounds
and I
about
think
right.
it had spelt from the farm near Jackie O's. I should start writing this stuff down. I
You
go
probably
off the cuff
should.
and I never remember it all, but I believe that's it.
I had a sip of yours, but I did not actually have that. I was drinking their Creature Stout that they just released, the Athena Paradiso with the guava and the passion fruit, which I enjoy. And I think my favorite beer of the visit to Creature Comforts was that Everything Is with Mosaic. It's a dry hop pilsner. I love that. I would love to drink a lot of that. You know, something that we did see when we were making our rounds, we saw a car completely coated in truck liner.
We did. That's right.
And-
You know this, like the bumpy truck bed liner stuff, like the
Yeah,
spray and
sure.
stuff? We saw someone that just said, let's go all the way, and just covered the whole truck with
Gotta
it.
respect that.
And that inspired me. Instead of getting my next large format beer wax dipped, I want it truck liner dipped.
All right.
And you guys are free to run with it. I have not trademarked the idea. I just want to see it. I want to
Just a
have
truck
one.
bed liner.
Yes, truck
with
liner.
that grip, maybe you wouldn't need the wax cutter. Maybe you could
Probably
just,
not.
just rip it right off.
You could
there.
rip the top of the
or
bottle right off.
or
yeah.
the flesh off the palm of your hand.
Or that.
One
yes.
of the two. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're falling and you have to grab hold of something to hold yourself up like in a movie, you've got that grip on the edge of that bottle. So
What
that'll
are
be
you
very
falling
successful.
off of that you're catching yourself with a beer bottle?
Beer cellar falling over. I don't know. Over a Cliff.
Brian, what do you think of the other Brian's ideas here?
I think that if you're getting a good waxing, you need a good grip.
Yes.
There you go. Yes. He has spoken.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
Riley, anything interesting? You're a little bit under the weather today, huh? So we appreciate you coming out and joining us.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. I had a long cross-country flight the other day, so yeah, just feeling it a little bit. But
hang out, have
here.
a few beers, and
Yeah,
chat, right?
that'll get you back in the saddle in no time.
Absolutely.
The Ironmonger's tasting good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we got some pours here from our friends at Ironmonger going through their stuff. You said you had a cross-country flight, business or pleasure trip?
Pleasure, family time,
Okay.
yeah.
Good stuff. That's good to get.
Well, Tim, I think it's time for the beers of the week.
Crack open a cold one. It's the Truck and Tap Beer of the Week. Craft beer and food trucks in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com.
Well, Brian, as always, we have some really good beers to drink. I am currently drinking Steam Breather from Ironmonger Brewing. We've got lots of Three Taverns on deck today. Brian, you brought one, didn't you? You said
a bunch, yeah. I've got
Three Taverns beers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've got a number of them: Britannicus, Inceptus, Blueberry Inceptus. I've got some larger format. I've got Double Shot too, the one with coffee in it.
There we go.
Plus
and
more.
then those are just the ones that Brian's got. Quite the stash of your beers over there, man. He sounds like a fan, huh?
You're going to educate me, too, because I'm so new coming on board here that I haven't even tasted some of these probably.
All
so
right. We'll get the
podcast is
we'll
over,
break in the
stick
new
around
guy
and-
here, man.
Yeah.
And then, Brian, we're going to confuse people, Brian and
You're
Brian.
confusing
today. So, Mr. Brian Purcell brought
Call him
us
BP.
some, BP brought us
BP.
some beers from Three Taverns. We have the Double Smack and the Morning Smack, which is
right.
your maple bacon banana coffee.
Coffee milk stout.
Stout. And the Double Smack is around 12%, and the Morning Smack, because you need something lighter in the morning,
Right.
is only 8%, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got a collaboration that you did at Burial up in Asheville,
That's right.
which is called The Filled Has Eyes. So
It
it's
is.
good. Those are
Yeah.
our beers, and we've got a few more, but those are the highlights, Brian. So, Brian, what's happening this week in the news?
What's in the news? The beer guys have the scoop.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Time for headlines.
All right, so I think the most important story, and the one that nearly made me convert to Catholicism, is a man in Ohio subsisting on beer alone for Lent. This is a glorious, beautiful story. That's right, he's giving up all food and all drinks except water for some number of days. I read 46, but I've heard other people say it's just 40. I'm not Catholic, so I actually have no idea.
Smalls? Lent's 40 days, right?
46.
huh?
Okay, so he's going to have his first actual solid meal on Easter Sunday, I guess, something like that. Anyway, his name is Del Hall, and he's the director of sales at 50 West Brewing Company, which a lot of people didn't realize. So he has all the beer he needs to go this distance. This can happen. He says he was inspired by the monks of the 17th century that would go on a Bach beer diet during Lent because for them, Bach was liquid bread, so it worked. As of 6 days into his fast, I checked his Instagram account, and he was down around 13 pounds, so he's also losing weight. Real men of genius, Tim.
I get sure.
So despite pending litigation and legal advice to remain silent, Founders has released a statement addressing the alleged racial discrimination charges out there. In it, they say the accusations that they ignored instances of racial bias are false. They admit that there were some employees that said the N-word in conversation at the brewery, but they were punished accordingly, and they also claim the former employee who was suing them was okay with how they handled it at the time. They also said that the former employee had been promoted a few times during his tenure, and that he was only fired after he failed to perform adequately in the job he had at the time. They also announced the creation of a Director of Diversity and Inclusion position at the brewery. So I don't know what to make of it. It's a kind of a he said, she said.
You can't really tell with these things. And
no idea.
The internet makes their judgments pretty instantly on this. But the bottom line is we're down here in Georgia hearing about a story that happened in Michigan. I'm sure the gentleman that had the issues is 100% convinced in what he's saying.
Sure.
I'm sure Founders is probably convinced in what they're saying. We just don't know exactly what went on there. And I know I saw some people were offended that they just hired the diversity director. But my thinking on mine is if someone tells you have an issue and you realize there's an issue there, that's when you can address it.
Sure.
So that's, that makes sense to me that they would hire someone. They're like, look, all right, we thought we were handling this right, but if we have an issue, let's get someone in here to direct this. Well,
Yeah.
stay tuned. We're actually having Jeremy Kosmicki, the brewmaster, on. He'll be on the show here. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back very soon to talk with 3 taverns.
We are Reformation Brewery, celebrating the reformer in you. Locally crafted within the renowned Etowah watershed of Woodstock, Georgia, Reformation creates yeast-forward brews full of aroma and flavor crafted to last. Come see us in beautiful Woodstock, Georgia, for a tour and tasting of unique brews that you can't find anywhere else. Reformation Brewery, set beer free. ReformationBrewery.com.
It's Brian and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock and Alpharetta are always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy, Brian. They've got 18 of them.
As for the truck part, that's where it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily, so that way you're getting a different menu every day.
Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock, Alpharetta, and coming soon to Duluth in 2018. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Next Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you miss an episode, don't worry, all episodes are available as a podcast. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and never miss a show. We're talking to Brian Purcell and Riley Finnigan from 3 Taverns Craft Brewery.
Brian, Riley, thanks again for joining us. We do appreciate it. We just got into the collaboration here you did with Burial Beer Company. We were talking about all the hops in there, and I think Brian just made a few up. I've never heard of Kookaburra hops.
Kookaburra hops, yeah.
Yeah, and tasty. That's tasty beer, though, so we're good to go. Delicious. Well, this is St. Patrick's Day weekend, Brian.
It is.
So it is the official, or one of the official beer drinking holidays of the year. Good time.
Just in time for drinking season.
Just in time for drinking season. But you guys got a little St. Patty stuff planned, right?
We do, yeah.
So we heard there's something about a Mable-McNally St. Patty's procession. And what is that, and how'd you guys get involved with it?
So Maury Mable was a Decatur resident who his mother was from Ireland. And I read about this guy, and he started early one St. Patrick's Day morning at the square in Decatur and marched around to celebrate his mother's homeland on St. Patrick's Day. And he continued to do that for 50 years. And over the course of the 50 years, the event became an annual celebration, and it was an annual parade, and the school band would come out. And apparently there were some years were bigger than the others, but he never failed to lead the parade until he died. And I thought that was a fascinating story, a fascinating part of Decatur history that really no one knows about. And so we decided to make an Irish stout, dry Irish stout, and call it Maury Mable's Irish Stout. And so last year, we teamed up with Irish Mike Gallagher, one of the owners of the Brick Store Pub. He was inspired by the story, and so we met at Fellini's in Decatur, which is right across the street from where Maury Mable's house was. And we resurrected the march. And we marched. We had a bagpipe leading us along with so Maury always dressed in tails and a top hat with a cane. So Mike Gallagher kind of updated that a little bit, but he had a cane. He led us with the guy playing the bagpipe all the way to the Brick Store Pub, where we hoisted our first glass of Maury Mable's Irish Stout. And along for that march was Patrick McNally, who was a longtime resident of Decatur and a fixture at the Brick Store Pub. And he died this past year, so they wanted to commemorate his memory as well and named, I guess for the first time, the McNally Mable Procession. So we'll be meeting at 11 a.m. on Saturday right across from Maury's home. And we will march to the Brick Store Pub with a guy playing the bagpipe and a rabble of us, and we'll again hoist a glass of Maury Mable's Irish Stout to bring in St. Patrick's Day weekend. So.
I mean, this sounds like a beer drinking event to me. Get together and march across town in the morning.
That sounds so cool. I saw somewhere where the guy was called the Pied Piper of Decatur?
The Pied Piper of Decatur, because he started with himself and 2 of his friends.
Oh,
and he continued over the years, and where it became an annual event with a full-on parade. So
instead of driving, was it driving snakes out or something like that? It was like driving beer drinkers to the bar, you know? Okay,
or leading rats along the streets of Decatur.
There you go.
Brewery rats.
Depends on what time of day you catch them as to what applies there.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So will there be a green hoplicity pouring at Three Taverns on St. Patty's Day? Do you do any of the green beers at all, or
no? We don't do green beers.
It's polarizing. That's a polarizing question.
I'm pro green beer.
But we do. Yeah. We do at the brewery have a key lime pie sour that we'll be pouring for the first time.
Okay.
And thankfully it didn't turn out green, but it comes from the green lime.
It would be
closest we're going to get.
I just think it's a fun tradition. If you want to have a green beer and say, "Hey, it's St. Patrick's Day, I'm having a green beer," go for it. Have a good time. I did one myself in response to internet haters a couple years ago. But I used too much food coloring in it, so it was like this deep, forest green. It dyed my mouth and stuff. But I had my green beer
and stayed with you for the rest of the week.
That was it, man.
That's
smile. It's just green tea.
That's karma,
there.
Tim. That's karma coming to get you.
Coming to get me. Yeah. Now, Riley, you're fairly new to the area, correct?
I am. Yeah, I've been in Georgia for a month now.
Okay. Now I know you've had some travels. Spain and Mexico. Is that right?
That's right. I lived in rural Mexico for just over a year, which is kind of where I decided I was going to take the homebrewing hobby, into a career. Okay. And that led me to Avery Brewing in Boulder, Colorado, 6 years out there, and then 2 years in Barcelona. And as of February 6th, Three Taverns here in Georgia.
Awesome. Now, so when you were in rural Mexico, you weren't down there originally for beer. That happened while you were down there. Is that correct?
No, yeah. I'd started knocking around with a homebrew kit before leaving, but I was down there on an unrelated adventure, kind of managing a sustainable ranch down there. And as much as I love Mexican lagers, which I truly do, Modelo, Pacifico, I love those beers. Sometimes you just need some hops in your life,
Sure.
So I would have my friends come down to visit, and I'd say, hey, bring me some hops, bring me some malt extract, bring me some, whatever I could do to whip up a batch of something with some flavor. Huh? Yeah. Oh, coming through customs, they had some interesting stuff.
Yeah, right.
With a couple
what else? They're hops. They're for beer.
Hops, yeah.
So you brewed with local ingredients down there. What kind of ingredients do they have, in the area you were at in Mexico, that you would use in a beer?
Well, of course, tons of chilies, doing chili stouts and things like that. I also had lemongrass growing in my front yard, which was awesome.
Oh.
So, yard is a stretch, but my front dirt fenced-in area.
Chunk of dirt, okay.
But so worked that into a saison and, did some fun stuff down there.
So no agave making its way into some beers?
No agave, man. I drank plenty of agave-based spirits, but I didn't work it into the beers. I probably should have.
I don't know if that's as widely, I know it's probably endangered and rarer now, but it's a weed that just grows wild down there.
I was living in Jalisco, which is the number one tequila producing piece of planet Earth. I mean, that's where it all comes from,
Okay.
I would drive past massive agave fields every day, essentially.
Now, I know a candy that's popular that I've seen, Mexican candy, is I think it's either papaya or guava pieces that are dried, and then it's like salt and chili powder on them.
Oh, yeah.
And then, is there a name for that? Does anybody know? Or is it just candy?
I think I've seen that at Trader Joe's, but I don't think it's named properly.
You see a lot of times banana chips, too, that are slathered in the Valentina hot sauce down there.
Valentina, that's some solid hot sauce.
That is good hot sauce,
yeah.
But I was thinking
that the hot sauces.
I bet, Valentina is the best one that I've tried here as far as Mexican hot sauces go, but I bet there was a little better selection down there.
You got to find that taco cart on the streets of Vallarta that just has like 20 sauces on the table, and then you found the right one.
Just go to town.
Yeah,
you're there.
Try them all, man.
That candy, though, the fruit with the chili powder, that I could see that like in a goza.
Yeah.
The salty, sour fruit in that. So you can use that, Riley.
Yeah,
you can use, and then you can dip it in truck bed liner.
Yes.
After you make it. So.
Put it large format bottle or a can. I mean, you put the whole can could be truck bed liner. That's fine. I'm good with that.
Good grip.
Good grip. Yeah, you don't want it to fall out of your hands.
Drop it, man.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So we're making new ground here.
We definitely,
You guys
definitely
are innovators.
After that, you went to Avery, correct?
Yeah, that was where I got my foot in the door in the craft beer world. Hired into the warehouse there and worked through that, worked through packaging, worked through the brew house and cellar. And that was a 6-year ride with some awesome people where I learned a great deal and had a wonderful time out there.
That sounds great. And then from there, you took a step over into Barcelona. How did that happen? Is that right? From Avery to somewhere in Barcelona?
Yeah, that's correct. So after about 6 years at Avery and minus the one in Mexico, I'd been in Boulder for a decade at that point. Just kind of looking for a change, looking for something new, and wanted to see where beer could take me. So came across an opportunity in Barcelona. A couple Skype interviews later, they were coming to Colorado to visit, and then I went out to visit, and next thing I know, I'm moving to Spain.
That's pretty cool. Get international brewing experience,
Yeah.
And Spain and Mexico are not places, you'd think of for beer, really. So is there, what? I think we've got to take a break, but I want to talk to you a little more about brewing in Spain when we get back. So you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are going to take a break, but we'll be back very soon to talk more with 3 Taverns.
As a brewery owner or taproom manager, are you looking for ways to enhance your customer experience while maximizing your revenues? Craft Cellar is a mobile solution that helps your brewery drive sales and attract new customers through online pre-sales for beer releases, events, and memberships. Get details now at craftcellar.com. Mention Beer Guys Radio after sign up and extend your free trial to a full 30 days. Remember craftcellar.com. That's craftcellr.com.
Craft beer forged with a reverence for tradition and new styles that start a revolution. Ironmonger Brewing. The brewers at Ironmonger Brewing pride themselves at being masters of barrel-aged, hoppy, and sour beers. They invite you to their tap room in Marietta, Georgia to taste and see. Also visit their barrel room for an intimate drinking experience with great live entertainment. Keep up to date on all things Ironmonger by liking them on Facebook. Ironmonger Brewing, establishing a new standard in craft beer.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You passed out cigarettes for a smoke-a-thon on Earth Day. You installed speed bumps on the handicapped ramps. And most recently, you dumped 100 pounds of meat on a peaceful vegan protest.
Oh, come on. That was way more than 100 pounds.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout-out to our newest sponsors, Craft Cellar and ResTech. Craft Cellar offers mobile solutions for breweries to conduct online pre-sales for beer releases and events, and ResTech manufactures floor treatments for your brewery or restaurant. Thanks to those guys for sponsoring Beer Guys Radio. Now let's get back into it with Brian and Riley from 3 Taverns.
Guys, we cracked open a beer here. Riley, we're introducing you to one you said you haven't had yet here, right?
I haven't, no.
See, I was going to try and put you on the scene and just say, hey, can you tell me about this beer?
Well, I do know that all the brewing water for this beer was flown to Tibet so that it could be blessed by Tibetan monks on a mountaintop.
I get that.
And then it came back, and I believe every kernel was hand harvested by a 3T staff member. Is that right, Brian?
It's close to true.
Yeah, every kernel.
Were they chewed as well?
A couple of guys were out that day.
Then they went,
okay.
minus a few. But then the rest of the details I'm not entirely clear on.
Totally sure. Okay. That sounds like a lot of love went into this, though, Brian.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is this the one that you hand cracked each grain before the mash? After?
With a special nutcracker.
A nutcracker special tool. Yeah. So as you can tell, 3 Taverns put a lot of care into.
Oh, they
beer,
did.
So.
I can taste the blessings in it when I drink it.
Yeah. You know what? That's all we're going to tell you about this one. That's all you need. Britannicus, if you want to taste the Tibetan mountain water and hand-cracked grains, see if you can find some out there.
Taste the blessings.
Right. Taste the blessings. You can't watch the trademarks there, Brian. That was close to you.
I'm getting very close. Yeah. Right up to the line.
Right. Well, Riley, I wanted to ask you a little bit about brewing in Spain and that. We just had friend of ours, Owen Ogletree, who hosts Brewtopia Events beer tours. They just did a tour over to Spain and, went. They said they drank a lot of ciders there. A lot of wine, a lot of ciders, and there was some craft beer over there. But how's the brewing over there? How's the craft beer scene?
It's great. It's an awesome scene. There's a plethora of great brewers around the country. And actually, I know some folks who went on that crew or on that trip. I gave them some recommendations in Barcelona there where I was at, and they saw a bunch of my old friends. A really great scene of brewers and beer drinkers. It's, of course, still in its infancy. It has a long way to go. There's a ton of opportunity there. The average Spaniard sitting in a plaza on a sunny day is still drinking a San Miguel or an Estrella Damm. But craft beer is really making some headway over there. And it was a great experience. Met a lot of brewers from all around Europe. Had the opportunity to collaborate with brewers from all around Europe. And yeah, just a wonderful experience.
So are there any things that you learned? I mean, having gone from Mexico to Avery and to Spain and that, I know every place has its own little flair sort of for what they're brewing. So is there anything that you learned over there that doesn't kind of fit the mold of what American breweries are doing that you might apply over here?
You know, I think some of my friends over there might have words for me after I say this, but they're definitely taking cues from American craft beer.
Okay.
They want the juice bombs, they want the haze, they want the pretty much everything that people are excited about here right now. They're excited about over there.
You know what I want from over there? Oh, I travel to Spain. I want the Museo de Jamón.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want that back here.
To make a jamón beer.
Yes. I don't even need it to be in a beer. I just want the place that's dedicated to thin slices of those cured porks. Cured meats.
Do you say porks?
Porks. Yes. The various porks.
The plural of
the
porks.
Iberian pork versus the other porks.
Yeah, it's called literally anywhere in Spain.
Yes.
I am jealous of the way they do their happy hour. I've seen several times, with the tapas and all the cured meats and olives and everything, and stand up, drink up, have a snack, and have a good time. Now, you guys should do one because you've got an Iberian pig there in Decatur, so you could get all over that Jamón Iberico collaboration. So.
That's a good idea.
Well, so look at all these great ideas.
Wonderful amount of ideas.
Bring it on as consultants.
That's it. Yeah, we're ready. We're ready anytime.
All of these will be getting you ready for the Imaginarium, which you can just implement them right there, right?
Absolutely. So, Brian, that's a great segue to talk about the Imaginarium here, the Three Taverns Project. Mr. Brian Purcell, can you tell us about the Imaginarium Project and the upcoming Imaginarium?
Sure. So the Imaginarium Project is a name we gave to all our experimental beers a long time ago at the brewery. I felt like we needed some way to define the experimentation and pursuit of discovery in beer and in brewing beer and trying a lot of different ingredients and processes. And it was a way to keep the creative juices fresh and flowing in the brewery. And so it was an imaginary place in the brewery where we went to craft these new and unique and really small batch beers that you could only get at the parlor, at our tasting room if you came to visit. And about a little over a year ago, I started thinking with the law change, especially with the law change, that we needed to think about, well, the thing is in Georgia, because of the old laws, as a brewery starting and really having one option, and that's distribution, you start larger. And most of the breweries that started around the time or before and shortly after I did all started with larger brewing systems with a distribution model. And now we're all fighting for shelf space or tap handles. And then you go to other states, Colorado, where Riley's Brewing was born. Because you could sell from your tap room, breweries often start much smaller. They cobble together a little system, and they express themselves creatively. And they're really not bound by market forces. It's really, what do we want to try? What do we want to do? And if they're doing it well, they're going to find their audience, they're going to find their market, and they're going to come to their brewery. And over time, as their popularity or as the demand for their product grows and they find success out of their little brewing system, they start to think about growing, and maybe we want to get our beer into more places, and then that's where you see a lot of those breweries then build a second location, which is a larger production facility. And so here in Georgia, we had to start
big
in the later chapters of a lot of the breweries' lives in other places. And as I started to think about that as a home brewer, as a former home brewer who really likes to experiment, who really likes to explore. And again, our Imaginarium Project was important to me. It was a place where I could do that, our brewers could do that. And I thought about how we missed something, though. We missed out on those early days where you were just cranking out one new idea after another. And and with the law change, I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to go backwards? And instead of trying to expand our footprint in the distribution marketplace, what if we build a place, a real Imaginarium with walls and another brewing system, and invite the public to come visit us and to try all of these multiple of new wares that we have for sale. And that's what really inspired the idea for it. And that's when we started to pursue and think about and craft out a plan for a second location, but a much smaller location. So that's the Imaginarium was born.
I picture this as like a Willy Wonka chocolate factory for beer.
Yeah.
You walk in and Brian throws the door open. He's like, "Come with me and you'll see."
Oh, can you please dress up like Willy Wonka? That'll be amazing.
Little flip. I mean, he already climbs on the roof and blowing horns.
He does.
So
That's
not
true.
A far stretch.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring out Mr. Rapturous.
Yeah.
And the Lord Gray.
Yeah.
to say hello.
We've already got the grand opening planned. We're accomplishing so much here today.
Yes, we are.
We really are. So how's it going to work? You're going to split up. So you usually in the parlor you have Imaginarium beers. Are all of those going to the Imaginarium
No,
when this opens?
we will continue
to
push out new and innovative ideas, because we have a pilot system over at our production facility, and we don't want what we want are two different experiences. So you come to the parlor, and yes, you can have our core beers, you can have our year-round beers, but you'll continue to have the opportunity to try beers that are only available at the parlor. And if you go to the Imaginarium, you just have more of those.
More Imaginarium.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for
I
this.
think it'll be
Sounds
awesome.
like a lot of fun. Absolutely. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We need to take another break, but we'll be back very soon to talk more with Three Taverns. Is your brewery or restaurant flooring looking a little worse for wear? Your foundation needs to be protected from heat, chemicals, and other contaminants. At the same time, you need something slip-resistant yet cleanable with soap and water. ResTech has been manufacturing poured-in-place flooring since 2002 and offers a variety of solutions for your facility's needs. If your floor needs a little TLC, stop by our booth at the Craft Brewers Conference in Denver or visit our website at restech.net. That's res-tek.net. It's Brian and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock and Alpharetta are always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy, Brian. They've got 18 of them.
As for the truck part, that's where it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily, so that way you're getting a different menu every day.
Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock, Alpharetta, and coming soon to Duluth in 2018. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Your revolution is over, Mr. Lebowski. Condolences, the bum's lost.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons can get some cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. And now back to our discussion with Brian Purcell and Riley Finnigan from Three Taverns Craft Brewery.
Brian, we just got into another one of your beers here. We are drinking Departed Spirit. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, so Departed Spirit was originally brewed 2015, I think. It's a barrel-aged version of our Russian Imperial Stout that is fermented with Belgian yeast. That's Theophan the Recluse. So this is the 2017 version, which means it went into the barrels in 2016. So we aged that beer a year in 8-year-old Heaven Hill bourbon barrels. So it picks up a nice bourbon, vanilla, wood character. It's
delicious.
This is drinking really good.
It is drinking really good. Yeah. Before we move on, Brian, there was a couple more things I wanted to ask about the Imaginarium.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming to a development in Atlanta called the Atlanta Dairies.
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming that is called the Atlanta Dairies because there was a dairy there.
It was a former Atlanta dairy.
And as we've heard, you're going to have you will have a cow there.
A cow. There's a 1 acre yard.
Okay.
And that is part of the communal aspect of the dairies. They have an open air license, so you'll be able to buy beer at the brewery and walk anywhere around. But what better way to manicure or keep the lawn manicured out there than to have a cow?
That's right. Absolutely. And Riley, you mentioned you had some goats in Mexico, and I hated to break it to Riley. He was going to have some goats out there in the lawn area too, but I believe Scofflaw's actually burnt a trademark symbol into every goat within 30 miles.
I believe
of
they
Atlanta.
have,
So
beat me to it, I guess.
Yeah, man. Good. It was a good idea though. They just got ahead of you there. So
I don't think sheep have been done yet, so you could look into that. And they're very woolly. They're kind of cute, right? I mean, kind of.
Second-rate goats,
tack a petting zoo on out there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is getting carried away.
It is getting weird.
Brian, what's the timeline for the Imaginarium opening?
We're looking to open in August, September, depending on how construction goes, permitting goes. But August would be the best case, and September worst case. And we're 2 blocks off the East Side Beltline, which is just about to be finished, running by Golden Eagle right up to Memorial, and you just take a little step off that. You'll be at the Imaginarium. There's a 2,200-seat music venue opening in the dairies as well. That'll be catty corner to us, and we're just trying to figure out how to manage the crowd that we imagine on the nights when the venue is full. So
it's going to get a little crazy.
It will. It'll get a little crazy
there.
Crazy. Absolutely. Well, Brian, you mentioned something just a few minutes ago that I wanted to talk a little bit about here. You talked about the yeast in the Departed Spirit versus the Theophan and that. And making a yeast change actually made a pretty big change for 3 taverns on a beer that you did there. So your Night on Ponce is...
That's correct, yeah.
Was Night on Brussels that you said, hey, just for the heck of it, let's see what happens if we do this with American yeast, right?
Yeah, maybe not just for the heck of it.
Okay.
Just for the hop of it, maybe.
For the hop of it.
So the hops, it was Citra hops primarily and some Palisades, good American hops, good aroma and flavor hops. And unfortunately, they were masked by the Belgian yeast, or fortunately, depending on what you were looking for. But that was a beer I brewed as a home brewer. It's a beer we launched with. I would say it was an American IPA on a Belgian road trip, and that's the best way to describe it. The esters from the Belgian yeast really do take center stage, and they push the hops to the back. And so I was curious after a certain point, well, what if we take the Belgian yeast off and put American ale yeast on, and let's see what these hops have to say about the situation. And so we did it, as an experiment to see how it would taste, the aroma difference, and my God, it was a completely different beer. So
it absolutely
really is, yeah.
And not really surprising, it took off. You know, the American palate and those hops, it really took off there for sure.
Yeah, it did. In 2016, it was voted in your poll as the best new IPA.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of taking off, I think we should talk about Rowdy and Proud. That's a beer that's really taken off for you, hasn't it?
That has, yeah. Yeah, so early on, there's a lot of soccer fans at the brewery.
Yes.
And so it's a real passion that we have. It's a sport that our brewery soul is connected to. So when the Atlanta United started playing here, we wanted to get on board pretty quickly. And Nathan, who is our brand cultivator, had gone to some of the tailgates early on and saw what was happening there, and he started looking for one of the supporter groups that we could partner with, and Resurgence is a supporters group that we sponsor. And we started, after first year of fun and a lot of energy and excitement, we really wanted to do something more with this group, and we started talking to them about doing a collaboration beer. And that's where Rowdy and Proud was born. And it was born out of the chant that you hear at the stadium, "We are the A from way down south, and we are here, Rowdy and Proud." And we thought, well, what a beautiful name for a beer, Rowdy and Proud. Whether you know the chant or not, who doesn't feel? I'm feeling more rowdy and proud.
You're right.
You're
ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just need some percussion here.
Yeah, we do. So, and so we worked with those guys, and we packaged the beer, and I would say the official, unofficial beer of Atlanta United. So we really do love the team. In fact, I'm leaving here and heading down to the stadium to see what we can do in Monterey. But we launched that beer, and it has become so important to us and such a part of what we think is the excitement and energy of Atlanta that this team reflects. And these supporters groups, I mean, they clearly reflect that we wanted to make this beer more and bigger than just Atlanta soccer. So we just launched rowdyandproudbeer.com, which is a new website, and we really want to promote the lifestyle of what it means to live in Atlanta and to be rowdy and proud. And so we'll be featuring different people. Every 2 weeks you'll see someone new, their story, what we call champions of their craft, people who are making a difference, who are doing something in their field of passion to make a difference in the city, and you'll be reading about their story. So we're excited about the beer, excited about the team, excited about what it means to this city and what Atlanta has become and is becoming. So
you're just excited, right?
He is.
Just excited. So much going on. Riley, have you had a chance to get involved with any United events yet?
Not yet.
I think they've just had, is it, Brian, at first game of the season so far, or have they had a couple?
First home game was last weekend, yeah.
For what it's worth, Riley, I haven't done Atlanta United yet either. I'm behind the times here.
But I've only got a month. How long you been here?
I've been 15
Tim has
years,
no
20
excuse.
years. So, yeah, I got no excuses. I was here before the United was. So,
Yeah.
I have to get onto that. And everyone I know, it's really cool to see it come here in the way that the whole city just has a passion for it. You know, everybody's on board, and we're a soccer town now.
It is. There's a lot of enthusiasm out there. That struck me right away. Yeah, it's
crazy.
It's
I wouldn't
cool.
have expected it, you know?
Yeah, it's cool.
I have to ask. So there's a Rowdier and Proudier, which I think you made for them getting into the championship. Will we be seeing a Rowdiest and Proudiest?
That's the next level, right?
Next level.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they won, so I'm maybe. Is it too late now, or do we have to wait for them to win again?
What about Rowdierist and Proudierist?
Oh. That's an even another. That's a level beyond that. I hadn't even thought
quad.
about that.
We're going to Belgium then.
Now it suddenly becomes Belgium.
Right.
Yes.
Now we're back to the Belgianese.
It's Imaginarium.
Imaginarium. That's right. On the nose.
The beer is delicious too.
That's what I was gonna say. I love Rowdy. It's a great the uniting it with the I almost said football team with the soccer team.
Yeah,
it is good to have a beer to kind of attached to your team. You know, it is supporting, you know, this is a United beer and do all that. So we'll have to come party with you guys. Come have some beers and see
please.
Catch a soccer match for sure. Yeah. Well, guys, we're about to wrap up here, but anything else that we didn't cover that we want to talk about?
Oh, I think you have to ask Riley about his love of music and his affinity for the mandolin.
It's just what I listen to when I'm not listening to Beer Guys Radio.
Okay, we can accept that, Riley. We can accept that. You know, I think we may have, for our podcast listeners, we're going to throw an extra segment on here. If you're listening on the radio, grab the podcast of this one. Get the little extra content. We're going to chat with you, Riley, a little bit more about your brewing and the mandolin.
And the mando.
So, Brian, if people want to find out more about Three Taverns or Rowdy and Proud or anything going on with you guys, what's the best place to do that?
Just follow us on social media, 3tavernsbrewery.com, our website. We update that on the front page with new stories, new developments, or at Three Taverns, our Instagram, Twitter, so we're constantly updating it.
Good deal. Excellent. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Coming up next week, we're going to be talking with Troy Casey from Casey Brewing and Blending. For more great craft beer info, follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.
Craft beer forged with a reverence for tradition and new styles that start a revolution. Ironmonger Brewing. The brewers at Ironmonger Brewing pride themselves at being masters of barrel-aged, hoppy, and sour beers. They invite you to their tap room in Marietta, Georgia to taste and see. Also visit their barrel room for an intimate drinking experience with great live entertainment. Keep up to date on all things Ironmonger by liking them on Facebook. Ironmonger Brewing, establishing a new standard in craft beer.
As a brewery owner or taproom manager, are you looking for ways to enhance your customer experience while maximizing your revenues? Craft Cellar is a mobile solution that helps your brewery drive sales and attract new customers through online pre-sales for beer releases, events, and memberships. Get details now at craftcellar.com. Mention Beer Guys Radio after sign up and extend your free trial to a full 30 days. Remember craftcellar.com. That's craftcellr.com.
You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. This is a special additional fifth segment on our show this week. Brian.
Fifth segment.
And Riley, the fifth segment. We don't have any music for our fifth segment. We need a...
I'm not going to. Sorry, no.
No,
I'm
go
going to
on.
stop.
No, go on.
We're off to a good start.
Now, where's your mandolin, Riley?
I think that's where we ended with music.
Special.
Yeah.
So we've got this doing really well. We just got into a absolutely phenomenal beer. I was saying might be my favorite. It's made from one of my other favorites, the Mount Fang.
Mount Fang, yes.
Imperial Stout. So this is the base. We're drinking Double Smack. And Brian, can you tell us about Double Smack?
Yeah, Double Smack is a bigger version of Morning Smack. So Morning Smack is our maple bacon banana coffee milk stout, 8%. So already at the imperial level, I guess. And we thought, what better way to wake up in the morning than 2 smacks. So we decided to up the ante. It's 12%, more viscous, more flavor, more of everything, and then we barrel aged it for 10 months, and it's I think it's everything Morning Smack is and more.
It's like the 2 scoops of raisins, only better with a double smacking. Two smack. There we go. See, we got that. Pop, pop. Wake up.
The best part of waking up is double smack in your stein.
You should have went with cup. It would have still rhymed.
I thought about cup, but I mean, I want the stein. Let's go big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me. Can I read the description from the label here? So it says, aged in bourbon barrels and bursting with the morning aroma and flavors of maple, bacon, banana, and coffee, this bigger and more viscous version of our Imperial Coffee Milk Stout, Morning Smack, will wake your palate and have you saying, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
All right.
See, it's ready to go. You know, I shared this with you, Brian, off air, and I'll share this again. And I think it's the banana that threw me. When I heard about this, I was not drawn to it as an appealing beer. I love
appealing.
We're gonna say appealing.
Do we have a rim shot sound, Sam?
Yes.
No.
So
Okay. No.
we're gonna get. I missed that one. No, I need the rim shot. I need a whoosh sound. I need a whoosh sound too. I think it was the banana thrown in there, but this is just phenomenal. All the flavors come together extremely well. It's just a delicious beer. It's really good stuff.
If you enjoy coffee and beer like I enjoy coffee and beer, you'd love this beer. But you'll probably love it if you like any of the other flavors.
Do you like banana coffee?
I do now. I didn't know I did before. Okay. It's only just missing the cognac, and then you would have been totally on board from the beginning. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Riley, I wanted to talk to you some, man. We didn't get into this in the main show. We probably should have, to be honest with you, but sometimes we try to pack these shows a little too full. So
good.
With all the brewing that you've done everywhere, I know when you come into a new place, you don't want to necessarily change if they're doing a great thing, but what are you bringing to Three Taverns? What can we expect to see from your brewing there?
Well, you just said it. That's been my number one kind of thought since I've come on board here. Is it's wonderful to come into a place where they're already making great beers. They already have a great reputation. There's some behind the scenes process stuff that we're gonna tweak. There's little changes here and there, and then I'm excited to bring some new recipes as well when the opportunity presents itself. But we certainly don't need to reinvent the wheel. So. It's a great crew over there having fun so far, and I hope I can bring my 2 cents and really integrate myself and continue to integrate Three Taverns into the Atlanta beer community, because this city is in a great spot right now. I mean, beer scene's going off, and it seems like a lot of fun, a lot of great people I've met thus far.
The community here is fantastic. Even before the beer scene necessarily was, the community's been great. Real passionate community. And I heard you actually got welcomed properly to Three Taverns with a little tradition.
I did.
There, right?
I did, yeah. The end of my first week, we had a little bottle share there at the brewery, which is an almost weekly tradition. You know, we sit down on Fridays and pop a few good ones at the end of the week. And the old Single Intent came out, and I was singled out by the crew, which is, take a knee and slam a Single Intent. So that beer predates me, but it actually made me feel really good about our DO levels, because that beer hadn't been made in a long time, and I was like,
it still drinks really well.
Taste oxidized. Yeah, I felt solid.
That's
about
a brewer
that.
for you. He's They pull an old beer out from nowhere, and he's like, oh, the good DO levels.
Doing a keg stand at DO is acceptable. Yeah, I think we didn't cover this. Off air we did, but what are your preferred beers to drink? I don't think we talked about this actually on the show.
No, we didn't. I mean, I'm a firm believer that every beer has its time and its place. There's a moment for everything. You just have to know what to order in that moment or what to open in that moment. Some of my favorite moments would be a nice, rich American porter at the end of a day of skiing, snowboarding, hanging out in the mountains. I did kind of hint to my love of good Mexican lager on the beach. You can't beat that. A nice American IPA, be it West Coast, New England, or anywhere in between.
I call that Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your 5-night a week right there.
That's right.
I don't know, man. I mean, I hope that's not a bogus answer, but I really believe every beer has its... it's about fitting the moment, where you're at, who you're with, how's the weather, what are you doing, what are you up to, how you feeling. That dictates kind of what I want to drink.
It's all about pairings, pairing in moments and pairing food and pairing other things. So speaking of pairings, something I wanted to ask Brian is, you poured Helm's Deep during a cheese and beer pairing. I want to know which cheese you paired with Helm's Deep.
Oh, you're going to do that to me, aren't you?
Yeah, I want to know.
He's like, I don't know.
I don't have a clue. I wasn't there.
I was hoping it was cheddar, but I'm not. It could have been any number of things. I'm not sure. I think cheddar might have been the way I would have gone with that, but I don't know.
So you've got a big, strong stout.
Boozy stout. Yes.
Yeah. What? And I don't remember what Bernard told us would be the one to go.
I know. I should have looked into that. Bernard, we failed you.
But it's such a big, rich beer.
Big blue cheese.
Big
that's
blue.
What I was wondering,
yes.
maybe.
Ooh,
we'll have to experience that and see what we think there.
Well, I do have some Helm's Deep hiding somewhere.
Do you have any blue cheese?
Yeah. I mean, I can get some. It's easier to get blue cheese than it is to get Helm's Deep, honestly. True. So,
guys, I wanted to share a beer with you since we did the double smack there, breakfasty. I figured I'd keep breakfast going. This is one from the Southern Brewing Company over in Athens called Decadent Obsessions, and this is a French toasted stout. And so it is an imperial milk stout with coffee, cinnamon, maple syrup, and coconut. So I figured we'd share that one around. So I'm going to pass that around there.
Let's give it a whirl.
Sounds exciting. I have to know, Brian, and I think this is for you, what on earth is what was the word? Cabinet of Curiosities. I saw that as the inspiration for the Imaginarium, and I was intrigued by the phrase, and I was confused by what I found online about that.
Well, the old apothecary.
Okay.
Where you mixed different ingredients together to create. And if you think of those places, they had these little
drawers of things.
Drawers with all these special ingredients. I don't know what are you going to find in there. Is it a
It's always a bird's foot, isn't it? Isn't it always a bird's foot? Yeah.
A goat's eye.
A goat's eye, yeah.
We want to tickle your curiosity at the Imaginarium.
Right. This is getting
tongue of newt. Always tongue of newt in there.
Yeah. It's getting more Willy Wonka as we go on here. Yeah. A little Willy Wonka craziness.
As in Gingrich? Is it?
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, it depends on
That
what
would be
you're.
something, wouldn't it?
I mean, that would be something if you could pull that off.
It's like
The
he's,
newt.
he's been wielded silent twice.
So
what happened to
So with the Imaginarium, will it be inspired by these curiosity boxes? Will the interior decorations be, or are we more referencing the beer itself? So we're going to have a full on like Ripley's Believe It or Not type of thing going on there,
I don't
or
know if it's full on Ripley's Believe It or Not.
will we believe it or won't we?
We want you to come in
Okay.
and believe it. But yeah, that's what we're going for. We want the experience there, the surroundings there, to kind of feel a little mystical. Like, where am I?
What even is this?
That it kind of reminds me of if you go down to New Orleans, they have those interesting. What's the magic that they have in New Orleans? Voodoo shops where they have the interesting
Madame Louvet's shop of
curiosities. Yes,
I don't know. No, we're not going for black magic.
You're talking Dr. John and the Neville brothers now. We're getting into some New Orleans voodoo.
The last time I was in New Orleans, I actually thought that my cabbie was going to harvest my liver. So
entirely possible down there.
So Brian, you were there. So you were in the.
That would have been a bad pick, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would have been total poor decision on his part.
If you're going to hijack a liver from somebody,
I wouldn't be the person you picked to do that with. Maybe that's why I still have. Maybe that's why I still have. I still have my liver. Maybe
he was only eyeing you because he looked at me first. I'm like, no, that guy's liver's gone. That guy, maybe.
Gone. But it was just a really creepy cab ride from downtown New Orleans to a cigar bar in the middle of nowhere, and it was something. It was about 4 or 5 guys down there for a cigar convention at the time.
Indeed.
Everybody met up, and we're all drinking and laughing and having a good time. But something in that cab, we just all went dead silent. And it just got creepy, and we start texting each other. I think he's going to harvest our organs. So.
I think it was the chicken foot hanging from the rearview mirror. That kind of tipped me off.
How would you feel if you came into the Imaginarium and were served a beer and had an eyeball in the glass?
I mean, I'm down with it. Let's try.
I was going to say.
I won't prejudge.
Don't knock it until you try it. It could be a really good eyeball. I mean, it might be really rare. I'm sure.
But make sure the glass is all the way full with no foam.
That's right.
And then the eyeball floating in that. So.
Or if it's slow poured, like slow pour with the eyeball sticking out of the foam. We've
got to make up our minds. Is it lots of foam or is it no foam at all?
Well, it can't be no foam at all.
Right.
I mean, there's got to be some amount.
I found out Riley's on team #. Ban the boss pour with
Ban the boss pour, yeah.
We're there, man. We're against the boss pour.
I'm with you, yeah. No, I want 2 fingers of foam on the top of my beer.
I just think it looks good, and you get the aromas. It's just the right way to do it. So
at the risk of being ostracized by the entire beer community, I really think it's about the unusually colorful fruited Berliners and the like that don't have much in the way of head at all. They just don't have head retention because of the nature of the beer. I think they're trying to showcase that off, but I still think it looks odd to me and distressing.
Or it doesn't. Yeah, it might look cool on Instagram, but I don't want to drink it that way.
Oh, I wouldn't. I'd be worried about spilling it all. I mean, this glorious beard, it will absorb every ounce of liquid from that glass before you even get to drink it.
It is a phenomenal beard.
Thank you.
Brian could spill an entire pint in his face and wouldn't even need a napkin to clean it up.
I just pull it back up and wring it into my mouth. It's fantastic. Yeah.
I was imagining that's what you did in the morning.
It is.
Frequently, yes. I mean,
time for some double smack.
If I get lucky, I spilled yesterday's coffee in it, so that when I wake up, I've got that little blast of coffee in the morning. Yeah.
This is terrible. This show is terrible.
This is the worst 5th segment ever.
Well, guys, anything else we missed there? I think we covered pretty much everything. I did want to hear, kind of your philosophy there, Riley, on what you're going to get into. I imagine the Imaginarium is a place that is exciting for a brewmaster, right?
That's fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's already fun. We're looking forward to rolling out a lot of new stuff there, and for the time being, we're gonna hold on to what we're doing. We're gonna move forward, and the Imaginarium's gonna be a good new step for 3 Taverns.
Well, I think we got the right guy for that too. I mean, he's clearly an adventurer.
Oh yeah, he's been all over.
Yeah, sure enough.
Mexico, back to Boulder. He's from Bend, and Barcelona.
I found out Brian's an Oregonian, too.
We are both Oregonians.
But I mean, I think what bigger adventure than any of that to come all the way across the country to the dirty South.
That's right, the dirty South. It lures us both in. It's a trap. It's too late for me, but you can get out. I do have one more question, though.
No.
I must ask about this. Will we see any more collaborations with local distilleries? And I'm thinking specifically of something along the lines of Outlier number 3, which is near and dear to my heart.
I don't, how do I say no after that question?
That's kind of right. I was applying peer pressure in a public forum to make you do it, so it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
Your beer pressure is very effective.
My beer pressure. Yeah.
Was it which beer was it that you used in Outlier?
Feast Noel.
Feast Noel. That's right.
Feast Noel.
And that was delicious. Beer schnapps, correct?
Beer schnapps.
Yeah.
I saw the bottle.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's excellent. And IDC is one of my favorite. They are my favorite distillery in the Atlanta area. I just really like the stuff they're doing.
Yeah, they're neighbors across the street.
Yes, right across there. We came over and stumbled right across the parking lot.
We have.
You can do that. Stumble either way. I think
whichever way.
We're thinking of getting bumper pads for our.
Yes,
that's a great idea. Yeah.
You guys should just hijack a few of the bird scooters and put your names on them and just let people run them back and forth there. Yeah.
Just put them on a chain.
Time to a chain.
That's it. Run the tram, the 3 Taverns tram, sit across there. It's another great idea.
It sounds fantastic. I hope everybody's taking notes.
Yeah, taking notes. I see the invoice that keeps out.
Oh, yeah. I'm working on updating this invoice.
Great ideas. I'm discovering they're not free.
Brian's little green visor there.
That's right. Turning on my little green lamp.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks again for joining us and for hanging out a little extra, chatting with us a little bit more. We appreciate it. We look very forward to the Imaginarium and visiting 3 Taverns again. So, the Beer Guys Radio Show with 3 Taverns Brewery in Decatur, Georgia. Thanks for tuning in and hanging with us. Cheers.
The Beer Guys Radio Show on the Beer Guys Radio Network. BeerGuysRadio.com.